The floorboard creaked under the sole of his felt boot, a calculated risk whenever entering a sleeping man's room uninvited. A breeze fluttered the loose linen curtain, and the sleeper stirred, the welcome respite from the hot, sticky night. The prowler slowly exhaled the breath that was starting to burn in his lungs, every sense tingling, receptive to any change in the room or a sound from the street below. The sleeper, thankfully, continued to sleep. The street under the second-story window was silent, the night given up to the occasional rounds of the city watch and those set on a darker business, the never-ending cat-and-mouse game that went mostly unappreciated by the law-abiding citizens of the sleeping city. The summer had been one of the hottest people could ever remember, taxing the energy of the city's inhabitants to the limit. Several of the more elderly citizens down at the port could be heard explaining that, in their day, the summers were often this hot, and indeed often hotter. Of course, these were the same group who would entertain the regulars at the portside taverns with tales of goblin hordes, ferocious sea serpents, or the time the winters were so cold that the seas had frozen solid. A man could have walked from here to Minster Island without ever seeing a boat or even getting his feet wet, was a much-repeated reminiscence. Whatever history really concealed, it was a hot summer, and this a particularly humid night. Pardigan watched the now softly snoring form, and moving his foot from the traitorous board, crept towards the cabinet that he knew held his prize. It was an elegant cabinet, its construction given over to more than mere function. Gracefully curved legs supported drawers and shelves that were fronted by a scrollwork of intricate designs. He inserted the blade of his knife between the edges of the middle left-hand drawer and felt for the hidden catch. If the information Quint had given him was correct, the false front should spring open. A prickle of sweat tickled his brow, and he wiped it absently away. Glancing over to the still sleeping form, he applied a little more pressure on what he hoped was the catch. Nothing. The merchant stirred, smacked his chops, exhaled wetly, and then returned to snoring. Pardigan tried again. Most people hated the fat merchant, known for his cheating ways and vile temper, so he and Quint had set about the business of planning to rob him with great enthusiasm. The break had come quite by chance, when Quint had met the apprentice of a cabinet maker who'd been happy to talk about the merchant and the cabinet he'd helped his master build for him. "The shame of it is that the true beauty of the cabinet will never be appreciated," the apprentice had moaned. "Such a cunning mechanism my master contrived to conceal the hidden safe box. Nothing of the like have I seen before, nor, I fear, will I ever see again." He had been all too happy to describe and even sketch the piece for Quint, who, of course, had shown great interest, marvelling at the skill of the cabinet-maker and, naturally, his gifted apprentice. Several glasses of elder ale had kept his new friend's throat well lubricated, an investment in tonight's escapade they had both placed huge hopes in.